Total War Warhammer has a bunch of different races, each with very unique rosters in their own right. And even though this series has been going on for close to 10 years, there's still a bunch of missing unique units for each of the respective races and factions. So in this video I want to talk about those units because I still feel like we could get some stuff over the years even for the races that might be considered done. So without further ado, let's begin. But before anything, a big thank you to Instant Gaming for sponsoring this video. Instant Gaming is a platform where you'll be able to buy loads of games, even the ones that have just released, for some pretty big discounted rates. I myself picked up Oblivion Remastered, the Deluxe Edition, for 22% off, which is absolutely fantastic as I've been playing a little bit too much of that lately. I really need to get back to painting. There's loads of games on offer year-round, and you can bet when the next Total War game gets announced later this year, you'll be able to get a pretty big discount here too. Not only that, but we do have a monthly giveaway going on. Win the game of your choice. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below and sign up. You don't even have to make a purchase. This has been something that we've been doing monthly for quite some time now. It's a company that I myself use because, well, as you guys are aware, I have a problem with buying way too many minis for my armies, so I need to find good deals for the games that I want to play. Making a purchase using my special link in the description below also supports the channel at no extra cost to you. Once again, thank you to Instant Gaming for sponsoring this video. Let's jump into our regularly scheduled programming. Right, we're going to start off with the Beastmen now. I don't think that the Beastmen are going to get more DLC in the future, mostly because they have really benefited from Warhammer 3, but I do feel like this unit could find its way in through a Skulls event, or maybe a random free unit to celebrate the 10 years of Total War Warhammer and all the money that they've made, because they've made a lot. But this unit is called the Praeton. This is a really rare unit from the Storm of Magic days, and it has since been re-released, or it's going to be re-released, I guess, for the Beastmen whenever they come back. But it has been confirmed that they are returning for Warhammer the Old World. Essentially what these are giant flying monsters, incredibly fast. They drive people insane as they start screaming. It's like a murder flying moose. It's probably the best way to explain it. They can be found across a lot of parts of the Old World, but mostly in Bretonnia, created by the Bray Shamans themselves. I really like these units. I've got one. I'm trying to actually find it so I can get it ready for whenever GW decide to release the Beastmen, because it's feeling a little bit out of the way at the moment. But yeah, they're really, really cool. It's pretty much the most unique thing missing for the Beastmen. I know some people say, well, what's so different about this? And say, for example, the Cockatrice or the Manticore. This is supposed to be a massive leadership killer. It's supposed to be extremely fast and very, very good at melee. The Manticore is lacking at best. It's very good at killing out characters, I guess, but this should be very good at killing, like, complete units. Plus, you know, it'd just be nice having something looking vastly different, being extremely quick. I'm so looking forward for these in the Old World, and I think that they'd be a very fun unit in Total War. Bretonnia, unfortunately, isn't missing much. This is the negative about this race. They really didn't have a lot going for them in terms of unique units, and while they still have something that is fairly new, which is the Knights on Foot, it does look like Creative Assembly can't potentially do those. Maybe Games Workshop doesn't want that to happen. There's been some talk and rumors about it being a separate IP, despite it just being 200 years. It would be nice, I would tell you this, and I think this is the only thing I can actually suggest for Bretonnia, because really, yeah, they need some Knights on Foot. They need to be able to defend the walls properly and stuff like that. I'd say for a middle ground, they could easily just say just the Knights with sword and shield and that's it, and not bring in the great weapon variants, because it's not very much needed, especially since it does kind of feel a little bit off when you look at it towards Bretonnia and the Old World. I know some people really like them, especially because of Furious Charge, but I don't know, I feel like great weapons should be kept for questing knights on mounted horses and so on. Dwarfs. Dwarfs fall on the same line as Bretonnia, where a lot of the units have already been represented in-game, and I know a lot of people here would be saying, well, what about a Rune Golem, the unreleased steam tank for the Dwarfs and stuff like that? The problem is, one, I don't think that the Rune Golems would ever come in with that regard, because they would say, well, it never really had models, it never really had rules. Same thing for the steam tank. It had a model, but it was never publicly shown. Who knows why it was fully scrapped, because there's been lots of conflicting stuff. Hell, even someone from Games Workshop who no longer works there was talking about that recently. Well, not that recently, it's about a year ago. But there is something that they can actually do, which is the Grudge Pony, Bugman's Cart, and so on. You see, these had models, but no rules. However, they were fully represented. You could buy these in boxes. You can buy them now, and they actually have rules. They could be support units for your dwarfs. Some extra things to give some extra bonuses to your shooters, or replenish some ammunition. Some of them even give some throwing weapons, so you can have some little blasting charges for your front line for units that generally won't have that. In my opinion, and I know we will have conflicting opinions here, I honestly think that, yeah, getting some support units for the dwarves will keep the playstyle the same, but also enhance them a little bit more. I like the idea of the Grudge Pony. I think it would be really, really cool. Let me know what you guys think down below. The Empire. So for the Empire, there's only one unit that's extremely unique. And no, the Chutian Guard and the Knights of the White Wolf aren't really considered unique units, although I imagine that we'll be seeing them down the line later. This is the Celestial Hurricanum, which we have a mod for by Chaos Robbie, which is absolutely amazing. It's something that is used by the Celestial College. Surprise, surprise, given the name, but it's essentially a buffing unit. It does buffs and debuffs. It's very, very cool. It's one of those units that a lot of people have been asking for quite some time now, because there's a lot of people who do use them on the tabletop when playing old Warhammer Fantasy. Unfortunately, Old World does not have it, and it does look like it was redesigned for the Age of Sigmar thing, which is super weird. But this basically could work like Grand Cafe's version of the Whooshing War Compass, but with a few different buffs. So you could activate each one, have them on permanently, but you can only have one active at a time with a cooldown to switch over. I think something like this would be kind of cool, because the Empire, again, is one of those factions that can benefit from a support unit like this. Plus, it's incredibly fun to paint. I'm really annoyed that I wasn't able to finish mine before Games Workshop unceremoniously killed it and gave it to Age of Sigmar. Greenskins. So there's a lot of stuff missing for the Greenskins, but I think a lot of people were kind of disappointed that such a Squig heavy DLC that Omens of Destruction was didn't include this. This is the Squig Gobber. It's pretty much just a Squig artillery piece. I know that's not the most exciting thing for some people, but there's exploding Squigs. It will finally give you something with a little bit of explosion, and it could have also been a single entity monster after it fired. A smaller version of the Colossal Squig in that regard, but I think it's something that could be very useful down the line. There's a lot of unique things still missing, like Snotling Swarms, but let's be honest, yeah, it's not really the most important thing, and the most of the other things are just missing unit variants or character variants, hero variants, and so on. I think it'll be a colossal shame if we miss out on a big beastie shooty boy. The bolt thrower is fine, but it isn't amazing. It's just a looted bolt thrower from the Dwarfs. Plus, again, we're getting so close to full completion for Scarsnake to have a Squig Night Goblin theme army. I feel like this would be cool. Netters also, but I'm talking about like the really, really cool units. Noskar. Technically, Noskar is a Game 2 race, but I always tend to put them in Game 1 because they were released at the end of Game 1 and it took so long for them to be in Game 2. So yeah, they're going to be considered Game 1 by my standard. Now, one thing that's really missing from them that is extremely unique is our good friend, the Cursed Etin. These are very, very interesting monsters because they used to be a human tribe. Some chaos magic kind of jumped into them. They broke a few oaths, and now they've all been mutated into these giant, colossal creatures. More or less the size of a giant. It does depend. Sometimes a little bit bigger. The Forge World version was a little bit bigger, and these do vary because there's loads of different types of Cursed Etins, so one unit, one base model could actually end up becoming 3 or 4 different types. Some of them are spellcasters, some of them have buffs and debuffs, and some of them are just purely melee focused. It would definitely bring some more human-like monsters to Noskar, which I think is kind of needed. It's a lot of just generalized monsters alongside some pretty basic humans. I think it could be cool. There's all these rumors about a Noskar DLC coming. If that does happen, I imagine that this is going to be in there. I'd be extremely surprised if not, because Games Workshop haven't used the Etin for Age of Sigmar, I believe, barring legacy rules, and there's no word on a Noskar book just yet for the Old World, which is kind of weird. I mean, technically you have a Noskar list, but it's like kind of boring. Alright, vampire count. So I'm going to talk about this one specifically. I know a lot of people would be saying, well, what about the Coven Throne? Technically, it's not really unique. It shares a lot of the same movement and idea as the Mortis engine. It's the same kit, which I know some people would say, well, you know, you've just done that with the Ancestral Hurricanum and the Luminarch. But those have drastic different uses, whereas the Coven Throne is very much a mount option more than anything else. So it's not really more of a hero or a unit or anything. So I want to go with the Spirit Hosts, because I do believe that it's about time that we started seeing Spirit Hosts. This is something that I could imagine when Nagash eventually comes in, and it would benefit the vampire counts too, but a swarm unit. It's very obvious that swarms can be used in Total War. We've seen it with the Nurglings, and it'd be very curious to see how the vampires do with their own swarm unit. These guys would also be ethereal too, so they'd be pretty damn tanky, unless they're being hit by magic and so on, but yeah, they should be very, very strong. This should give you a little bit more of elevation, giving you finally a reason to switch up from the zombies to something else. I've done a campaign recently where even into the late game I was using loads of zombie stacks. It's actually kind of weird that we are so far into this series and yet we don't really have that many swarms. I would like to see these come in, mostly because I love them on the tabletop. The Age of Sigmar version, or the End Times version, I guess, looks pretty damn cool. I like the classic ones, but I imagine that they'd use the more newer version. And in general, loads and loads of swarms. It's weird, again, that we still don't have them. Rat swarms, snotling swarms, just so many of them. Warriors of Chaos now, and there's not really that much. I also very much doubt that the Warriors of Chaos will get another DLC. It could happen, but very, very unlikely. Really, the only thing that is missing, I guess, barring just like generic Chaos Ogres, which I don't think are needed, would be the Chimera. And we know that that's a thing with Creative Assembly because the art book for Warhammer 3 has the head, one of the heads for the Chimera. So this is like a supercharged version of the Manticore. It's got 3 heads, it's very good at doing damage, it's supposed to be like a monstrous unit. It's definitely not the most exciting unit, but it's definitely something that we should be expecting. How I could imagine it being part of the Sinesh DLC, but there's some other stuff that I could have talked about, like for example, you know, Chaos Siege Giant, but I think that's more related to the Chaos Dwarfs than anything else, and the Gigantic Chaos Spawn I think is going to be just treated as a Sinesh unit anyway, so this one works. I like it, it's a big monster. I painted one actually. I need to sort out another one because they're actually not too bad. There's literally not that many options for the Warriors of Chaos, and I didn't want to go with something that's more aligned to like a monogod thing, because Warriors of Chaos should always be kind of treated as undivided, with the monogod factions being an addition to it. Alright, what else? This is the last one, and we're going back to 1987 because Games Workshop are making it a thing for Warhammer the Old World. It is confirmed that the Wood Elves will have access to those old school models. Essentially, it's just a Beastmaster with some wild animals. Who knows how they're going to work on the tabletop? Hopefully it won't be too long until we find out, but releases have been a bit weird lately, and news info even less. I think that this could be kind of cool. It's about time that the Wood Elf faction, you know, the one that's all in nature and stuff like that, gets more access to animals. Dryker can get some, which is nice, I guess, but it's not really, you know, it's not really everyone. It'd be nice if we had access to bears and everyone, with the Beastmaster being some sort of support hero for the Wood Elves. So it's more the Beastmaster than the animals, because obviously you're not going to pay for animals. Again, there's no other DLCs that I could see coming in for here, but I think it could be nice if the Beastmaster was introduced, and then that gave everyone access, all the Wood Elf factions, access to a lot more animals. Could be cool, could not be, it depends on what people think. I know some people are going to say like the Meadow Chariot and stuff, and I do agree the Meadow Chariot would be kind of nice, but it's a basic chariot. I think a hero kind of counts here. It's very left field considering that everything else has been a unit, but the hero kind of counts as a unit here. Maybe it's done in a different way. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Start a bit of discussion. I wanted to talk about this because I was talking about some just kind of cool stuff recently that isn't in the game yet. Here's hoping that we'll see it in the future. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.